All right, gang, let's get started, man. Let's get started. Money Making Monday over on Prize Picks. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. My name is CJ. In case you've never been here before, what we do here is player prop research together live and in real time. This will be a first look at the Prize Picks board. We're talking NBA player props, so points, assists, rebounds, points, rebounds, and assists, fantasy score, and three-point makes over on my favorite way to play daily fantasy sports and player props, PrizePicks. Now, if you don't play on PrizePicks yet, it's a fantastic time to sign up. Why is that? Well, they're doing a 100% instant deposit match on your first deposit all the way up to $100. All you have to do, use promo code Curry, deposit anywhere from $20 up to $100, and they're going to double your money up. No questions asked, okay? And yeah, that's the name of the game, Prize Picks. So appreciate everybody joining me already this morning. I see we got my man Gib up in the building. He says, good morning, CJ, back in the mix. Thank you so much for dropping a like on this video, Gib. I appreciate you. He says, it's Money Making Monday. Let's do it again. You know we will. You know that we will. I am trash in Roblox says, let's go. Good to see you here, my friend. Big Wild Man 33, what's up, CJ2K? What's happening to you, my friend? Good to see you. He says he's the first to hit the like button. Hit that shh. And then we got my man Emo, who's already left a super chat this morning, bright and early, before things even got kicked off here. Emo's coming through with the super chat. He says, good morning, y'all. Had a great weekend. Yeah, the community, by the way, what I mean by the community, Patreon and Discord was on fire this weekend. On fire. Saturday, Sunday, we were winning in NBA, NASCAR. We had some MMA wins. I mean, you guys were covering pretty much anything and everything that could be played on Prize Picks this weekend. We were playing it and we were winning. So if you want to join Patreon and Discord, tomorrow's a great day to do that. Don't do it today. Do it tomorrow, because the first of the month is going to be your best value, meaning you get the entire month. If you join today, it's going to bill you today and it's going to bill you tomorrow at the first of the month. So don't join today. But if you want to join, there's links down in the description of all my videos for Patreon, for Discord, etc. But yes, as a community, very strong showing this weekend. Anyway, let me continue the super chat here. He says, looking to keep the momentum on this Money Making Monday as promised. Here's my thanks for getting me that free $300. CJ. So there you go. One of our community members, one of our own, leaving me a super chat because I was able to help him, win a little bit of money, a little bit of walking around money, we'll call it. So thank you so much, Mo. As always, gang, if you ever want to get a pick, prop, or something read here live on the stream, super chat's going to be the best way to do it, just like Mo has done here. I appreciate that, Mo. Never expected, but always appreciated when you guys leave those super chats. It really does go a long way and help supporting what I do as a content creator. So let's keep the money flowing and keep it going here on Money Making Monday, just like my man Mo says. Now, Magic says, let's go. Hit my first 10x for this year last night. Patreon community was lit last night. Listen, it's not just me saying it. You got people who are actually in the Patreon community who are letting you guys know that the money was flowing last night. The money was definitely flowing yesterday and Saturday as well. Gibbs says he's going to try to hit his first 10x soon. Mark H is in the building. Fellow Floridian, what's up to you, Mark? He says, yo, had a great weekend. Thanks to the Patreon gang. Let's keep it going. You know we will, brother. You know we will. Chris Smith says, let's go. Did good in the early games, got murdered in the late games, but survived. And let's get at it again today. We definitely will. Drew Brees had a great weekend and ready to crush this Monday. Shout out to the Patreon gang. Shout out to you as well, Drew Brees. Appreciate you being in the community, my friend. Dylan says, good morning. Good morning back to you. Leroy, let's go. Leaving the dab emojis. Ronald's Green, what's up to you? Mr. Solid with that what's up. Kyle says, Money Making Monday. We got Zach Gill in the building. He's ready to get the bag. Chris Smith says, you're doing great for us and the community. Keep it up. I will keep it up. I'll keep showing up and I'll keep doing my thing, because when you guys are winning money, that brings joy. That brings joy to my heart. It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. So we got to keep that going for sure. King United says, Sixers made me some good money yesterday. Embiid covered his free throws in the first half alone. Listen, Embiid had like 20-something free throw attempts or makes, or I mean, Embiid went crazy yesterday. Him and Harden had very good games against the Knicks. Tony Ruiz says, good morning. What a Sunday fun day. Yeah, Tony made bank. Tony was killing it over the weekend too. Another one of our Patreon members who had a very strong showing this weekend. Shout out to you and congratulations on all the green. All the green. Speaking of green, we got Jimmy Green in the building. Good morning, beautiful people. One hell of a Sunday. Made some good money. Yeah, NASCAR actually treated me pretty well this weekend. On top of that, we had some NBA picks that were just absolutely bonkers. So again, shout out to the gang. I don't do this alone, guys. That's the power of the community. You get a bunch of people with different interests and put them all in one group, one community, and some great things can happen. Some truly special things can happen. And that's what's been going on inside of Patreon and Discord this month. It's been a heck of a month. Rusty Bearing says, time to run it up, gang. Let's make today a good one. Hopefully the audio doesn't cut out on you again, Rusty Bearings. Michael says, what to do with Jimmy Butler today? We got rebounds, assists, points, or PRA. Well, we'll try to figure that out. We'll see if Jimmy Butler comes up in our research and our process here. Everyday Fantasy says, greeting Patreon gang. Live stream. Of course, the chef, CJ, like Khaled said, y'all the best, man. No, you're the best. But really, we the best, right? We the best. Wesley Winston, yo, boss man, yo, what's up to you, longtime supporter, man? I appreciate you rocking with us, Wes. Bring on the freebies, CJ, already in line. You hear that? You know, the freebies coming. The freebies are coming. Desmond, let's get it. First full NBA week back. Let's make it a good one. That's true. We did kind of start NBA back up on, Thursday, kind of the tail end of last week. So we'll get it back. We'll get back in the flow of things. Chill Robots, what's up to you? You wave hello, I wave back. Tommy says 7 for 8 on the day yesterday, and Simon sold. Let's make some money today, boys. Kirby, yo, what's up, Kirby? Aaron Rodgers, what's happening to you? Jeff, top of the morning as well. Mike from the fours, let's go, Mike, let's do it. GMBTY, yo, Giovanni. Donovan Mitchell sold. Smitty says, what's up, CJ? Money Making Monday needs some bread after the birthday weekend. You're hurting. Well, let's get you some bread then, man. We'll put some butter on that bread too. And Mike from the fours is reminding everybody that if you have not yet, nuke that like button. Call in the nuke on the like button today. We're going to try to get back to 200 likes now that we're, got our first full week of NBA going on here. G-Lo got bars, yo. Back to joining the live stream, I see. Good to see you, my friend. G-Lo really got those bars, y'all. Y'all need to go check G-Lo out. Seen some of his rap battles. He's legit. All right, he's legit. Yeah, it's true. Emmanuel Phillips is in the building. Good morning to you. Cade, what's up? Austin, I hate Markieff Morris. I think you spelled his name wrong, Austin. I don't think that's how you spell Markieff's first name. In fact, it looks like you said Marqueef Morris. And I'm sure that was intentional. You bad person, you. Percy, good morning to you. Dim Dog says good morning. Nice to see you as well. Divine Truth Allah says peace. New day, new money. You know it. Adrian Cordo says, I can't do this on my own. I need help. I'm going to sign up for Patreon tomorrow. Listen, it is much harder to go about this player prop game on your own. That is why I help establish what I think is the best Discord, Patreon, PrizePicks focused community in the entire world. Now, I think we got a really solid group, though. So, Adrian, if you're looking for help, man, we've got a lot of very helpful people up in the community. So, slide through, man. Like I said, tomorrow would probably be the best day to do that. Because if you join today, it's going to charge you at the time that you join, and it's going to charge you at the first of the month. So, wait till tomorrow and then join, all right? Brock, no, I don't stream on the weekends. You know, believe it or not, I got a wife, man. I got a family. I got priorities and obligations that pull me away from this whole player prop thing and YouTube thing. So I try to get some of that stuff done. I try to balance my life out, work-life balance. And no, I don't always make it here on the weekends, Brock, unfortunately. You know, at some point, you got to take a break from this stuff. You got to unplug. You got to recharge the batteries. And I typically do that on the weekends. But listen, again, that's why we've got a community of people where it doesn't all just fall on one person's shoulders. We got a whole gang of people that are doing crazy player prop research and helping each other win, man. And that's the name of the game, man. Power of the people. Unlock, unleash the power of the people. That's what we're all about. Tyrone says, CJ, what it do? Let's get it. King Chris, good morning to you. Worth Peak is in the building. Look, we got a pretty good turnout this morning. We got a lot of folks up in here. Worth Peak says, you helped me hit my 5K last night. He ain't talking about a marathon race, guys. When he says 5K, I think he means 5 racks, $5,000. Love to hear that, man. Buttermilk Vlogs. I don't know what that means, but it sounds interesting. Shout out to you, Buttermilk Vlogs. He says, let's go, boys, but we got girls in here, so shout out to the girls as well. That Huntboy 92. Good morning, fellas. We killed it this weekend. We did. Another member of our Patreon community having a very strong showing this week. 3B says, get it, CJ. Like and subscribe. Yeah, we're running these subscribers up. We're almost to 5,100. I think we could do that real soon. Palia says that the 3-pick powers have been hitting. 3-pick powers are nice, man. You get that 5x payout over on PrizePicks. Love that. Sean says, your picks on this video will determine if I join your Patreon. No, they won't. No, they won't. I don't give out any picks. We do a first look. We do player prop research together in real time. And if you want to join, you can join. But don't join thinking that you're joining with the secret to life. You're going to be getting, the key to success or, the secret sauce, the recipe. All right? There is no such thing. I don't have the answers. Nobody's got the answers. Nobody knows anything. I don't care who makes videos on what. I don't care what people post. Nobody knows anything. We're all just guessing here. So, Sean, if you join, we're happy to have you. If you don't join, I don't care. My feelings aren't hurt. It's totally optional. You don't have to do anything. My picks in this video should not determine whether you decide to join the Patreon or not. I don't care either way. If you want to join, I'd love to have you. I'd love to have you. If you don't, well, you're probably messing up the bag for yourself because we're winning. Anyway, you do what you want to do. It's your money. Play how you want to play. Join the Patreon. Don't join the Patreon. I don't care. Okay, guys? I don't. I want to help you guys. I want to have you guys in the community, but listen, not here to tell you what to do. So yeah, the freshman's in the building. We got Rocket Sauce up in the building. He says, join the Patreon, bro. It's worth every penny. I mean, it's $20. You win a $10 2-pick power play. It pays for itself. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Anyway, listen, let's get down to business, guys. We got like a medium-sized NBA slate we got to talk about. So let's get down to it. Swig of water for me. And we'll get down to business here. We got the Toronto Raptors at the Brooklyn Nets, 7:30 p.m. tip-off time, 219 points on the board. 4-point spread in favor of the Raptors here. Taking a look at the injury news for both sides, we got OG Anunoby, who is ruled out already. So no OG Anunoby. I believe he fractured his finger. He's going to miss some time for Toronto. Fred VanVleet, game time decision. Definitely would be an impactful piece of injury news if he decides that he's not going to play. Over on the Brooklyn side, we got Joe Harris, Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant all out. Concerning news for the Brooklyn Nets, I saw that they said Ben Simmons is going to be out indefinitely with like some sort of back issue. They just traded for this guy, and now he's on the shelf with some sort of back issue indefinitely. That's kind of crazy. Anyway, with Kyrie Irving out, looks like Goran Dragic could find his way into the starting lineup. Maybe Patty Mills goes back to a 6-man role, comes off the bench for Brooklyn. But it looks like Number Fire expects Goran Dragic and Seth Curry to be starting in the backcourt for the Brooklyn Nets. So a little bit of a different cast of characters there. 7 p.m. the Minnesota T-Wolves at the Cleveland Cavaliers. 219 implied points on the board. 3.5-point spread. We've got the Minnesota Timberwolves as 3.5-point favorites on the road. Nothing real crazy on the Minnesota side in terms of injury news. Wright is already ruled out, but he's not really one that's going to shake things up too much. Over on the Cleveland side, Sexton, LeVert, Garland, and Rondo all out. Listen, their backcourt extremely thin right now. Colin Sexton, Karis LeVert, Darius Garland, Rajon Rondo all out. So it's going to be Brandon Goodwin starting at point guard with Isaac Okoro at the shooting guard spot. But 219 points on a 3.5-point spread. Looked like a pretty good game for us to target some overs. 7 p.m. the Indiana Pacers visit Orlando and take on my Orlando Magic. Look at the total on this game. 231.5 implied points. Very high total. -1 spread. This one is what I like to call high and tight. High total, tight spread. Just like my haircut when I go see my barber. Yes, I said that in the last video. Yes, I'm reusing content. Don't be mad at me. But yeah, the game totals look very good for this one with just a 1-point spread. We got Perry, Stevenson, and McConnell, all game time decisions. Ruled out already is Warren, Rubio, and Turner. Over on the Magic side, yes. You do not see Markelle Fultz on the injury report because Markelle Fultz is scheduled to make his return back to the lineup for the Orlando Magic, and I am excited. I'm ready to see Markelle Fultz back out on the basketball court. Jonathan Isaac, Bol, and Mo Wagner are already ruled out for Orlando, but that'll be a fun game to target some props on. Definitely, with the total being what it is, the spread being what it is. I like that one. 7:30 p.m. Chicago Bulls at the Miami Heat, 224.5 points, 4.5-point spread in favor of the Miami Heat. Jones Jr. is a game time decision for Chicago. We got Ball, Williamson, Caruso already ruled out for Chicago. They've been out for a number of games. Nothing new, nothing different there. For the Miami side, we've got Martin is a game time decision. Oladipo, Morris, and the big one, Kyle Lowry is out. So Kyle Lowry not going to play tonight for Miami. That means Gabe Vincent is probably going to fill in at the point guard spot. So 224.5 points, 4.5-point spread. Pretty decent game to target there. 8 p.m. Sacramento Kings at the Oklahoma City Thunder. 228.5 points on this one. 4.5-point spread. Keep an eye on Richaun Holmes for the Sacramento Kings. He is a game time decision. Wouldn't call him too overly impactful. Not a real major injury piece. But speaking of injuries, over on the OKC side, we got a lot of guys out. Derek Favors is a game time decision. We got Muscala, Robinson, Earl, Dort, Williams, Jerome, Giddey already ruled out. The big one here is Josh Giddey and Lou Dort, both out. So it'll be SGA, Trey Mann, Aaron Wiggins, Darius Bazley, and Isaiah Roby. Ugly lineup. I don't know how this game is going to stay close. I mean, they say it's a 4.5-point spread, but how does this game stay close with this squad that OKC's running out? I really don't know. 8 p.m. Charlotte Hornets, Milwaukee Bucks. 240 points, but it is a 10.5-point spread in favor of the Milwaukee Bucks, the defending champions. So if you're going to take anybody from this game as far as overs go, I think a safe way to do that is playing first half only props. So that means points or fantasy points on PrizePicks. They offer first half only for points, first half only for fantasy points. So you could take some overs from this game in a first half only format. If you're going to take any overs for full game format, make sure it is going to be a player who is a high usage player. A guy that's going to get a lot of touches. A guy that you know is going to be involved in that blowout, like a Giannis Antetokounmpo, a Chris Middleton, someone along those lines. Looking at the injury news, though, McDaniels and Richards, game time decisions. We've got Gordon Hayward, who continues to sit for Charlotte. Over on the Milwaukee side, Lopez, Connaughton, and Hill are all out. So love the total. Don't love the spread from this game. I don't love the spread. Looks like it's going to be blowout city for the Milwaukee Bucks. And then finally, 8 p.m., the San Antonio Spurs at the Memphis Grizzlies, 236.5 points with an 8.5-point spread in favor of Memphis. So another one of those games that's borderline blowout, teetering on a potential blowout here. So be careful with this one. We've got Keldon Johnson, Romeo Langford, DeJounte Murray, Jakob Poeltl, and Doug McDermott, all game time decisions. I don't know if you missed it, but over the weekend, San Antonio sat darn near every single player in their starting lineup except for maybe Doug McDermott. I think Poeltl, Johnson, Murray, all three of those guys were definitely out. They all sat. I don't know what that was. I don't know if that was a rest day. I don't know if that's a sign of things to come. But definitely keep an eye on the injury status of all of these San Antonio Spurs players. Now, over on the other side for Memphis, keep an eye out on some of their injury news. Dillon Brooks is still out. We got Konkar, Clark, and Tilly. All game time decisions there. So I would imagine that the spread will change a bit if all the San Antonio guys are truly ruled in or ruled out. If they're all ruled out again, I'd imagine a blowout for Memphis. Chris Smith saying, lately spreads have been off. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. It's not always right. It's not always right, man. I feel you. It can be sort of a measuring stick, I guess you could say. You could use it to kind of gauge if a game's going to be high scoring, if it's going to be a blowout or not, but it's hard to predict blowouts. It really is. It really is. Anyway, let's get down to business, guys. For our player prop research, we use a number of different tools. The first one that we're going to be using is props.cash. As they say here, player prop research made easy. You can get the rest of the NBA season on props.cash for just $69.99. Not a very bad deal if you ask me. So we're going to go ahead and sign into props.cash here. We'll be using their trends, their NBA trends, to determine which players have been hitting at a high hit rate over the last 10 games. And that's one great thing, one part of the puzzle that props.cash really helps with. So you change this from points or whatever prop you want to look at. We're going to go look at the splits here and change this from current season to last 10 games. And then it'll show you right here under the hit rates who's been hitting their player prop at the highest hit rate. So we're going to do what we normally do, start off by looking at some points props. The first one is going to be DeMar DeRozan of the Chicago Bulls. Now his line is 29.5 points. His hit rate is 100%. DeMar DeRozan might be going for the MVP trophy this year, gang. He just might be going for the MVP trophy. Now, when we open up his game logs here on PrizePicks, you're going to be like, wait a second. Props.cash says 100% hit rate in his last 10 games. But when we open up his player card on PrizePicks, it looks like he's really just got a 4 out of his last 5 hit rate, an 80% hit rate. You have to throw out this February 20th because that was the All-Star game. That does not count for anything. Okay? Throw that out. Do not be tricked. Do not be fooled. DeMar DeRozan has been killing it. So let's pull him up here on props.cash. Take a look at his hit rates over the last 10 games. You could see what DeRozan's been up to at 29.5 points. He is 10 for 10, 100%. He is averaging 36.9 points per game in that 10-game span, nearly 37 points per game. And things really haven't cooled off over the last 5 games. He's still at 36.8 points per game. Now we could also take a look at how he's done against Miami this season. He played Miami once, but it was all the way back in November 27th. He scored 28 points, so he came pretty close to 29.5, but close doesn't cut it. He did end up going under, but I would argue that his role and the form that he's showing recently, much better than where he was at back in the end of November. So things are looking pretty good here for DeMar DeRozan. The betting public taking the over early this morning, minus 118 over 29.5. We take a look at some of the defensive metrics here for the Miami Heat. They're 5th in points allowed, 5th in field goal percentage allowed. They rank 27th in three-pointers allowed, 12th in three-point field goal percentage allowed, 23rd in free throws, and then they rank 9th against opposing shooting guards. So we could take a closer look and look at the DVP here over the last 7 games. I don't really consider DeMar DeRozan to be the shooting guard on this team. I'm calling him more of a small forward. So if we go take a look at the small forward spot and we look at the Miami Heat, you can see they're giving up about 23.7 points per game over the last 7 games, which is one of the top 10 most giving defenses to the small forward position when it comes to points. But just for fun, we'll also pull up the shooting guard spot, and you can see that Miami's given up about 21 points per game to opposing shooting guards, which puts them like right in the middle of the pack, right? So they're giving up a fair amount of points to both wing positions, shooting guards and small forward. So I would say that DeMar DeRozan, not only has he been really hot over the last 10 games, but he's in a pretty decent matchup here against Miami. So now we're going to go pull up a projection for DeMar DeRozan. Let me refresh Fantasy Labs here. We're using Fantasy Labs, and as a part of a Fantasy Labs subscription, you get access to Action Labs. Now, Action Labs is their player prop projection tool. So we're going to go ahead and pull up a projection for DeRozan's points. They've got him projected for 30.1, which is slightly more than 29.5. And we're seeing him at 29.5 on 3 out of 4 accessible sports books. Now, on those sports books, I'm seeing odds as high as minus 140, minus 116 to go over 29.5. And the good news is, even on one book, one site has him as high as 30.5 points, which means their lines makers think that 30 to 31 points is within reach for DeMar DeRozan tonight, given this matchup. But at 30.5, the betting public is taking the under. So they don't believe that he's good for 31. They like him more around 30 points, which would be good because at 29.5, if we take the over at 29.5, then we could definitely take the over at 29.5. It's worth considering at least, right? With a guy that's been this hot. Anyways, you got DeRozan at a 100% hit rate. Let's see who else has been getting the job done in terms of scoring points. Harrison Barnes is another guy at 16.5 points. He's sporting an 80% hit rate. You got to love that. Now, he's at 17.5 here on PrizePicks. So let's dig in a little bit deeper on Harrison Barnes here and see what's what. Again, using props.cash to do all of our player prop research, we just type his name in. We make sure his line is set at 17.5, which it is. So now that everything's all dialed in, we look at the last 10 games here, and Harrison Barnes over his last 10, 70% hit rate. But over the last 5 games, the hit rates get a little bit worse. He's just 2 out of his last 5, a 40% hit rate. Now, he did come back with a strong game in his last one against Denver where he dropped 24 points. But yeah, I mean, things have been a little more shaky here over the last 5 games. I mean, you've got a lot of new pieces. Domantas Sabonis is in town, right? They've added Justin Holiday to the mix. So things have changed a little bit. Maybe Harrison Barnes, though, is in a good spot tonight against OKC. Let's take a look at the previous matchups against the Thunder this season. He's faced them 3 times, and in those 3 games, he's covered 17.5 points in 2 out of 3, so a 67% hit rate. Even back on December 28th against Oklahoma City, he scored 17. He came really close, but ended up going under 17.5 points. But, you know, I think he's got a real shot of going back over 17.5. This season, he's averaging 20.7 points against the Thunder. So let's go look at the defensive matchup here, the metrics for the Oklahoma City's Thunder's defense. They rank 13th in total points allowed, 8th in field goal percentage, 22 in three-pointers allowed, 3-point percentage allowed, they rank 10th, free throws allowed 4th, and against small forwards, they rank 16th. So pretty nice total on this game, and it looks like it's going to stay close and competitive. Now we can take things a step further by looking at how well Oklahoma City has done against small forwards and points allowed to small forwards over the last 7 games. So we head on over here to this little DVP chart, and you can see that OKC's given up about 19 to 20 points per game, which isn't terrible. I mean, he needs 18, so, you know, you wish this number was a little bit higher than what it is, but not the worst number in the world. Now, I'm going to also look at the power forward position. Mo Harkless is the other forward that starts here, so Harkless, Harrison Barnes, I say that they're kind of interchangeable. They're both forwards. I wouldn't say that either one is like a true power forward or a true small forward. I think they're both kind of combo forwards. Anyway, OKC's given up about 24.1 points per game to opposing power forwards over the last 7 games. And you can see where they rank. That is the 6th most allowed to opposing power forwards. So maybe Harrison Barnes is in a decent spot. Let's pull a projection up for you. I got Barnes projected for 18.1 points. That's slightly higher than the 17.5. But I will tell you this, on 3 out of the 4 sports books that we can reference, the public is not believing in Harrison Barnes tonight. They've got him going under 17.5 on 3 out of 4 sites. So definitely cross-reference this point projection of 18.1. You got a number of free sites like NumberFire, Betting Pros, RotoWire. They all offer single stat player prop projections. Go take a look at those. See how this 18.1 projected point number compares to some of those other sites that are out there, and dig a little bit deeper on your player prop research. His teammate is also hitting at a very high rate. De'Aaron Fox at 24.5 points, 80% hit rate. Right now, it looks like the betting public is taking the under on De'Aaron Fox. Let's take a look at his recent charts here. We'll pull up his last 10 game logs using props.cash. Click into De'Aaron Fox's name, and you can see that over the last 10 games, he's averaging 25.5 points, which is more than the 24.5 line tonight. Last 5 games especially, you see an uptick in his scoring, 26.2 points, despite him falling short in one game here against Denver, where he scored just 20 points. Overall, De'Aaron Fox has been playing pretty good basketball. Looking at his previous matchups against OKC, though, for whatever reason, does not show up against the Oklahoma City Thunder this season. 16 points back on November 12th, 12 points back on December 28th. So he went under by quite a bit in 2 games versus OKC. Again, not quite sure why. I will say this, Tyrese Halliburton was a member of the team back then. He's no longer on the team, so maybe things change for De'Aaron Fox tonight and he finally finds the over. We'll just have to wait and see. But looking again at the defensive metrics, they rank 18th in point guard defense. So not the most difficult matchup for him, we'll say. We'll head on over to the point guard position. And then we'll go over to the points column. And we'll find the Oklahoma City Thunder and see how many points over the last 7 games that they're giving up to opposing point guards. They're giving up 22.1 points, which puts them right around the top 10 fewest points allowed to point guards. So not the easiest matchup, especially for a guy who hasn't shown a great hit rate against this particular team. Let's pull up a projection for you, though, on De'Aaron Fox. Got him projected for 24.4 points, which is pretty much right in line with his prop line today of 24.5. Not seeing a major edge. We've got him on 4 different books at 24.5 points. 3 out of the 4 books, the public is betting the under. That means they're putting their real money down on the under at 24.5 points, meaning they think he's going to score 24 or less. Now, there is one book, one site, PointsBet, where betting public is taking the over, minus 120 there on PointsBet to go over 24.5 points. So most of the betting public is taking the under on Fox. There is some people out there who feel like the over is the way to go. Isaac M., what's up to you? You guys are hammering De'Aaron Fox? Hammering De'Aaron Fox? You think De'Aaron Fox is going to go over tonight? Is that what you're saying? Thumbs up if you think De'Aaron Fox scores 25 or more points against the Thunder tonight. Thumbs up if you're feeling the Fox. Looking at some of these other guys, we've got some 70% hit rate guys. Guys who've hit in 7 out of their last 10 games for their points props. Ooh, a lot of De'Aaron Fox love up in here this morning. All right, guys. All right. You're not going to fall into the betting public's trap, I guess you're saying. The betting public's going to be wrong. You're going against the grain, going against the public. All right. Bold move. Bold move. Love it, though. I love it. I love that we're taking a stand and thinking independently and thinking for ourselves and not just following like sheep, following the betting public out there. Anyway, Karl Anthony Towns, the big cat, at 21.5 points has covered his prop line in 7 out of his last 10 games. It's a 70% hit rate. We've got Towns up on the board. Yes, we do. He's going to be going up against the likes of Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, Lauri Markkanen. So let's take a look at Karl Anthony Towns here over the last 10 games and see what he's been doing. It's been up or down. Now this is 22.5. We're actually getting him at 21.5. So we got to use this little tool here on props.cash to bump his line down. And there you go. The hit rates get a little bit greener, a little bit sweeter for Karl Anthony Towns when we bump him down to a 21.5. So at 22.5, he's got a hit rate of 60%. At 21.5, 70%. So a little bit better there. So if we take a look at his last 10 games, he's averaging 24.3 points per game in that span. The last 5 have been especially good. A lot of it is being fueled or boosted by this 39-point outburst that he had against the Charlotte Hornets. He's averaging 25 points per game in his last 5 games. Now we can look at his previous matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers. This was back from December 10th. He scored 21 points. He needed one more point against today's opponent, the Cavaliers, to hit the over. So he fell just a little bit short. Karl Anthony Towns fell just a little bit short back on December 10th. Now we look at the defensive metrics, the matchups here for Cleveland. It's a lot of red, guys. And red is not good when you're looking to target the over on a player. Cleveland ranks first in points allowed. They rank third in field goal percentage allowed. Fourth in three-pointers allowed. Ninth in three-point field goal percentage allowed. First in free throws allowed. The only thing that he has going for him is that Cleveland is 16th, sort of an average middle-of-the-pack defense against opposing centers. Everything else looks pretty difficult here for Karl Anthony Towns in this matchup. So let's take it a step further. We'll go look at the DVP, defense versus position. We'll go to the center position. We will sort the points column, and then we'll go find Cleveland, see how many points they're giving up to opposing centers over their last 7 games. Got to go down a ways because Cleveland is a pretty tough defense like we've already talked about. They're giving up about 20.5 points per game to opposing centers. That is the 8th fewest. So not an easy matchup for the big cat, Karl Anthony Towns. Let's get you a projection. We've talked about a Fox. Now we're talking about a cat. We've just got all the animals showing up on the stream today. We've got him at 21.5 points out on 4 different books. Well, 3 out of 4. He's at 21.5 on 3 out of 4. Now, where he's at 21.5, we're seeing betting favorite here at -125, -135 odds. He's at 22.5 on one other site where they're taking the under. That's over on FanDuel's sportsbook. So 3 sites have him at 21.5. The public taking the over on all 3. At 22.5, they're taking the under. So between 21.5 and 22.5 lies 22 points. So if he gets 22 or more, we're in good shape. And the other good news here is that he is projected for 24.4 points. So the action projection tools have him going over 21.5 by nearly 3 points. Thumbs up if you think Karl Anthony Towns goes over 21.5 points. Thumbs down on Karl Anthony Towns if you think Jarrett Allen and company clamp him up and hold him to 21 or less tonight. I'd like to see what you guys are thinking. I like to take the temperature of the room, so to speak. All right, we got 3 other guys here who are hitting at a 70% hit rate. I won't go over all of them, but Nikola Vucevic, 70%. Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies, 70% hit rate for him. And SGA, 28.5 points, 70% hit rate for him going up against Sacramento tonight. So I'll let you guys take a look at those. If you have questions on those, if you want to look at any of those in particular, we can take those at the end of the show. But we've talked enough about points. We've covered some pretty high hitters here. 100% hit rate for DeRozan, 80% for Barnes, 80% for Fox. Karl Anthony Towns, 70%. So let's go ahead and switch it up. We'll talk about some of the top dime droppers. Who are your best assist options tonight? I see a lot of mixed reviews here on Karl Anthony Towns. Some people thinking he goes under. Some people thinking that he goes over. Okay. Not everybody's sold on Karl Anthony Towns. I got you. So while we talk about assists, I'm going to take a little drink of water here. You guys can leave me an assist by hitting the like button if you like what we've been talking about so far. Again, the more likes that you leave, the better the chances are that we get the word out, get the message out. We're trying to help as many people as possible win money on PrizePicks or wherever you play player props. So the more likes or dislikes, if you want to hit the thumbs down, you can do that too. But the more that you guys engage with the videos, the better the chance that we spread the word, we get the message out, we can help as many people as we can, all right? So let's try to help folks win some money tonight. All right, we're going to look at assist props, last 10 games, who's been hitting at the highest hit rates. We got 3 guys who have made the cut at 70% hit rate or better. So we'll start things off. We've already talked about him for points. Now we're talking about him for assists. Harrison Barnes at 2.5 assists, pretty low number. He's gotten this done over the last 10 games, like I said, at a 70% hit rate. So we type in Harrison Barnes' name here over on props.cash. We click this drop down here. We switch it from points. We go to assists. And we go to the last 10 games. And you can see what Harrison Barnes has been up to. So it's kind of similar to his points charts that we were looking at earlier, where over the last 10 games, things have looked pretty good overall. But in the last 5, things have gotten a little bit dicey, a little bit rocky here. And I ain't talking about ASAP. Bars. Harrison Barnes, last 10 games, 70% hit rate, averaging 3 assists per game. But in the last 5, he's averaging just 2.4 assists per game. Now, the last 2 in particular, both against Denver, have been pretty good. He dropped 4 against Denver on February 24th, 3 against Denver on February 26th. Now, we look at the previous matchups against the Oklahoma City Thunder. It looks like he's played them 3 times this season, has only went over 2.5 assists in 1 out of 3 games. But the good news is the game that he did go over was the most recent game, which is February 5th. So Harrison Barnes, I don't know if I love the matchup here. just being that he's went 1 for 3 against OKC. But if we go down and we look at the defensive metrics, it looks like the Oklahoma City Thunder defense is 23rd ranked in assists allowed, giving up over 25 assists per game in that span. So it is a pretty friendly matchup in terms of assists. It's just a matter of, will Harrison Barnes get those assists, or will they go to someone else like a Domantas Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox potentially? We'll take it a step further by looking at the last 7 games, DVP, defense versus position. We'll look at the small forward and power forward positions and see how many assists per game that the Oklahoma City Thunder are giving up to opposing forwards. So we're looking at small forward first. They're giving up about 2.96 assists. Let's just round it up, call it 3 assists. That is the 7th fewest though. So a difficult matchup for small forwards and assists. If we look at the power forward position, a little bit easier matchup here. They're giving up 4.1 assists, which happens to be the 7th most in that 7-game span. Last but not least, I will hit you with a projection for Harrison Barnes. I got him projected for 2.7 assists. He's at 2.5 assists on 3 different sites, 3 different books. And the betting public is not showing faith in Harrison Barnes going over 2.5 assists. In fact, they're taking the under on all 3 sites, all 3 books, -130, -135, -125. So they are not liking the over on Harrison Barnes. And I can't be too mad at him. Like I said, the last 5 games, things have been a little bit more rocky here. If you look at just this 5-game snapshot, it's been up and down. Been up and down for Harrison Barnes. So I wouldn't mind if you faded this one, if you didn't trust it and you wanted to fade it. The other guy we're going to talk about is Nikola Vucevic of the Chicago Bulls. His assist prop sits at 2.5. I'm not seeing him up on the PrizePicks board, but if we do get him on the PrizePicks board, take a look at him, because over the last 10 games, he's gone 7 for 10, a 70% hit rate. And we have to talk. If we're going to talk assists, we have to talk about this guy, DeJounte freaking Murray, the assist god. Now, DeJounte Murray has had a fantastic season so far. So let's dig into his assist logs real quick. Now he's at 10.5 right here on props.cash, but we're getting him at 9.5 over on PrizePicks. So we're going to hit this little arrow, bump him down a couple notches, and he goes from 10.5 down to 9.5. And you can see over the last 10 games, he's averaging 11.2 assists, 12 assists in his last 5. And against Memphis this season, averaging 11 assists against the Grizzlies. So overall, 70% hit rate. Let's take a look at those matchups against Memphis. He played them once. It was back on January 26th, so a pretty fairly recent sample size. And dropped 11 dimes on their head. We go down here and look at the Memphis defense. They rank 19th in assists allowed. So that is also pretty encouraging, giving up over 25 assists per game to opposing teams. Now we take it a step further. We go to the point guard position. We go take a look at Memphis and see how many assists in the last 7 games that they're giving up to opposing point guards. We do have to go down quite a ways here. They're giving up under 7 assists per game to opposing point guards. That is the 5th fewest. But if anyone can overcome a difficult matchup, it's going to be this guy, DeJounte Murray. He had himself a nice little duel against Ja Morant. That is a fun matchup. I cannot wait to see that matchup again. But yes, he did get it done against Memphis the last time these 2 teams played, which was about a month ago. So I'm not too worried even about a difficult matchup. Well, it looks like a difficult matchup on paper. Now the projections for DeJounte Murray, 9 projected assists at 9.5 assists on 3 different books. Everybody on every site, everywhere, is taking the over on DeJounte Murray. They think he's going to go for at least 10 assists versus the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. So there you have it. A little DeJounte Murray for your money-making Monday. Now there's some other guys that are on here at a 60% hit rate. I won't dig into them, but Domantas Sabonis at 5.5 assists, 60% hit rate. We mentioned him earlier. Maybe he's in a good spot tonight. If you're not buying in on Harrison Barnes or De'Aaron Fox and their assists, maybe you go with Domantas Sabonis, one of the best passing bigs in the league. You've also got Zach LaVine to consider at 4.5 assists. He's got a 60% hit rate. And D'Angelo Russell, Giannis Antetokounmpo, both sitting at 60%. So we've talked some assists. We've talked some points. Let's talk about some rebounders. Who are the top guys on the boards? Well, We got to start things off here. Going back to the Memphis Grizzlies, we're going to be talking about Steven Adams. Steven Adams. 12.5 rebounds over on PrizePicks. Now, I'm seeing his line for rebounds on props.cash at 10.5. So we're definitely going to have to dig into this one a little bit further. Easy enough. We just type in Steven Adams' name, click in on him. And then we got to make sure that we have the rebounds pulled up, get everything dialed in. And then the other thing that we want to make sure we have dialed in here is the appropriate prop line, which is 12.5. So he is at 12.5 here on props.cash. So everything is set up the way that we need it to be. And when we do that, we can see at 12.5 rebounds, man, 40% hit rate. So 12.5 rebounds has been difficult for Steven Adams to cover. Now he's going to have his work cut out for him pending Jakob Poeltl plays tonight. Let's take a look and see how he's done against San Antonio this season. He played them back on December 31st, New Year's Eve, had 13 rebounds. But then they played each other again on January 26th, and he had just 8 rebounds. So he's covered in one game, but he's also went under on another game. Now we look at the defensive metrics here, how the matchup shakes out for Steven Adams and these rebounds. San Antonio's defense pretty giving when it comes to boards. 25th in total rebounds allowed to opposing teams, 28th in offensive rebounds allowed, and 24th in defensive rebounds allowed. So very good matchups here for Steven Adams. Now, what's interesting, the game that he covered, he played just 26.5 minutes. The game where he didn't cover, he actually got about 2 more minutes of play time, but didn't get the job done. So he had himself kind of a bad night when it comes to rebounding, despite playing more minutes. Anyway, let's go look at the DVP here. We're going to go to the center spot. We're going to go to the rebound category. And we're going to go find the Spurs, who are giving up over 16 rebounds per game to opposing centers in the last 7 games. You can kind of see where they rank, right? Just right around the top 10 most giving defenses to centers when it comes to rebounds. So let's get you a projection on Steven Adams. We'll switch this up here on Action Labs, and then we'll type in Adams' name. I have him projected for 11.1 rebounds. Now he's at 12.5 rebounds on 2 out of 3 sites, 2 out of 3 books. At 12.5 boards, the public showing no faith in Adams getting 13 boards tonight. They're taking the under, -130 and -135. Now at 11.5 boards, though, he is a huge betting favorite to go over at 11.5, -160. So between 11.5 and 12.5 rebounds lies 12 boards. So maybe he ends up landing exactly right on the dot, right on the head of 12 rebounds tonight. But you're going to have to take the wait and see approach on the San Antonio Spurs, see if Jakob Poeltl's in, see if some of these other guys are in. But yeah, that 12.5 seems a little bit high for Steven Adams. He's going to have peak Steven Adams performance tonight in terms of rebounding the basketball. Anyway, onward we go. We're going to look at Lauri Markkanen at 5.5 boards, because at 5.5 rebounds, 70% hit rate for Lauri Markkanen. Pretty good, especially when you consider the fact that he plays alongside the likes of Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because at 5.5 boards, Lauri Markkanen has been getting the job done. So taking a look at the last 10 games for Lauri Markkanen at 5.5 rebounds, you can see the 70% hit rate in front of you here. You look at the last 10, he's averaging 5.5 in the last 10. Now his averages in the last 5 have dipped down to 5.4, which is under his prop line of 5.5 today. We look at the previous matchups against Minnesota. He's faced the T-Wolves one time this season, ended up with just 2 rebounds in that matchup back on December 10th. We scroll down here, take a look at the defensive, offensive, and total rebounds allowed by the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're giving up they're the 23rd most giving when it comes to defensive rebounds, 27th most giving to offensive rebounds, and 24th most giving to total rebounds, giving up over 46.6 total rebounds this season. We'll take it a step further. Markkanen, the small forward, Mobley, the power forward, Jarrett Allen, the center. So we'll go take a look at the small forward position, rebounds. And you can see that Minnesota's giving up 9.2 rebounds per game to opposing small forwards in the last 7 games. That is the third most. He needs 6. They're giving up over 9 per game. So there's definitely some upside, a path, let's say, to him hitting the over against Minnesota tonight. We'll take it one step further here. We'll type in Lauri Markkanen's name. He's projected for 5.8 rebounds, which is more than 5.5, but at 5.5 on 3 different sites, 3 different books, the public is not buying into Lauri Markkanen tonight. Minus 125 under, and even as high as minus 135 under 5.5 boards. So, Lauri Markkanen, high hit rates, great matchup, betting public, not liking it though, for whatever reason. Now, we've talked about a couple of bigs in Steven Adams and Lauri Markkanen. How about a point guard who's been rebounding the basketball very well? Drew Holiday, going up against the Charlotte Hornets in a game with a 240-plus point total. So that means high pace, up tempo. Should be a lot of shots going up, should be more rebound opportunities. We just got to go see if this matchup looks good. So Drew Holiday, 4.5 rebounds, last 10 games, 7 for 10. Very good hit rates. Let's click in. Pull him up here on props.cash. Look at the last 10 games. Averaging 4.4 rebounds in the last 10. The averages have dropped a little bit in the last 5, averaging just 4. So that's not a good sign. He's got some duds in here. 2 against Portland, 3 against Indiana. So that's really hurting his 5-game averages. Now, when he goes over 4.5 rebounds, he doesn't typically smash it. He's barely going over. You can see 5 against Brooklyn, 5 against Philly, 5 against Phoenix, 5 against the Clippers, 5 against Washington, 5 against Denver. He will need 5 again tonight or more to hit the over. Now we can look at previous matchups against the Hornets. He played them on December 1st, ended up with 4 rebounds, went under 4.5 in that game. But it looks like right now he is a betting favorite to go over. We'll dig into that in just a minute. Let's take a look at the DVP, defense versus positions here. Drew Holiday, a point guard. Charlotte Hornets, the opponent. They're giving up over 6.8 rebounds per game to opposing point guards. That is the 9th most. So it is a plus matchup, a favorable matchup for Drew Holiday against Charlotte. We talked about the game total. That looks really good as well. So let's get you a projection on Drew Holiday. Got him projected for 5.2 rebounds. And as I mentioned, the betting public also liking the over, minus 120, minus 125, and minus 130. Betting favorite. So all the juice is flowing toward the over on Drewski at 4.5 rebounds. One last guy who's been covering his rebound prop at a pretty high hit rate is Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. So let's go take a look at Bam Bam. He's at 10 boards over on PrizePicks. Let's see what he's been up to in his last 10 games. And for that, again, we're using props.cash. We type in Bam's name, click in on him, make sure we have everything dialed in. We're looking at the last 10 games. Now his prop line on props.cash is 10.5 by default. But what you can do is use this little slider here, bump them down from 10.5, which is a 70% hit rate, down to 10. And his 70% hit rate jumps up to a 78% hit rate. So this one game here against New Orleans, which was red before, we bump it down to 10, now turns gray, meaning it was a tie or a push against the New Orleans Pelicans in that game, which improves his hit rate. Now on PrizePicks, if you tie on a prop, it's not the end of the world. It's actually better than missing a prop altogether, right? So if he ends up with 10 rebounds, we're not mad. We wish he would go for 11 if we take the over, or 9 if we take the under. But if he lands on 10, we just, make a little less money. That's all. Anyway, last 10 games for Bam Adebayo, 11.3 rebounds per game on average in the last 10, 12.4 in his last 5. But against Chicago this season, averaging just 7 rebounds. Played them once, as back a ways, all the way back November 27th. So kind of an old sample at this point, but he did go under. So if we go take a look at this matchup, see some red and some yellow in here when it comes to the rebounding metrics for the Chicago Bulls. They rank 9th in total rebounds allowed, 7th in total offensive rebounds allowed, and 11th in total defensive rebounds allowed. So not the easiest matchup in the world for Bam Bam. We go over to the center spot. We go to the rebound position, or rebound category, I should say. Find the Chicago Bulls. Bulls are giving up nearly 16 boards per game. So not an overly difficult or overly easy matchup, kind of an average matchup for Bam Adebayo. Chicago giving up about 16 boards per game to opposing centers. We'll get you a projection here. Action Lab says Bam Adebayo's projection is 10 rebounds, which is exactly where his prop line is at 10. We're seeing him at 10.5 and 9.5 boards on a couple of different sites. Now at 10.5 rebounds, gang, the betting public smashing the under at 10.5. Minus 150, minus 145. But on the flip side, at 9.5 rebounds, the betting public is smashing the over. Minus 150 to go over 9.5, which is why PrizePicks has done the wise thing, and they've taken the middle ground, putting him at 10 rebounds in a potential push versus Chicago. So this one could really go either way, either which way. What do you guys think? Bam Adebayo over or under 10 rebounds? This could be one of the most controversial props of the day. High hit rates, some very strong action over 9.5 rebounds, very strong action under 10.5 rebounds. And his projection is exactly 10 rebounds. Welch is liking the over on Bam Adebayo. Michael says, this stream is mad chill. I with y'all. And Curry, that's me, Curry. We got to drop some likes and grow this stream. Man, Michael, listen, I am all about that energy that you're putting out, man. That is true. That is big facts, man. We got to grow this thing up. So smash the like button if you haven't yet. My man Michael rather, is spreading the word. He's saying we got to grow this thing up. We got to help more people with this player prop research stuff. So if you hit the like button or the dislike button, if I did something, that you don't like, you hit the thumbs down if you don't like it for some reason. All that engagement is good for growing the channel, helps get the word out. All right. So that's it for rebounds. Those are your 70% or higher hit rate guys. Bam Adebayo, Drew Holiday, Lauri Markkanen, Steven Adams at 80%. So we'll switch it up. We'll talk some PRA, some points, rebounds, and assists. We gotta get through this and get to some of your questions. So hold off on those questions. We're gonna talk PRA real quick, 3-point makes, and then some blocks and some steals. 100% hit rate. I don't need to talk about him very much here. It's DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan, obviously, very great player. Very hot lately. You all know the drill. DeMar DeRozan, he's the guy, kind of like Floyd Mayweather, where you just keep expecting him to go out and win for you until it just doesn't happen anymore. Until he starts to show signs of cooling off, you just expect him to go out there and get the job done, right? At least that's how I'm approaching DeMar DeRozan. I don't know that the Miami Heat put an end to his hot streak tonight, but maybe they do. I don't know. We've talked Karl Anthony Towns for PRA, or for points, I should say. For points, but he's also a strong option, or looks like a strong option for PRA at 35.5. He's been covering at an 80% hit rate. So you could look Big Cat's way. But I want to talk about players that we haven't talked about yet for any props. Jaren Jackson Jr. fits the bill. He's at 25.5 PRA. He's going up against San Antonio, who don't really have a formidable big man at the power forward spot. Nobody that can really slow Jaren Jackson Jr. down. You got to figure if Pirtle plays, he's going to be locked up with Steven Adams. Who are they going to put on Jaren Jackson Jr. that's going to stop him? Who's the Jaren Jackson Jr. stopper? I don't know that they got one. So let's take a look at him real quick. So we got Jaren Jackson Jr. pulled up. We're going to go to PRA. We're going to look at the last 10 games. Now, He's at 27.5 here on props.cash, but let's bump him down to 26.5. And the hit rates get a little bit better. Seeing a little bit more green in the last 10 games for Jaren Jackson Jr. 60% hit rate. We look at his season averages. He's averaging 23.8 points, rebounds, and assists. But the last 10 games, things are looking a lot better. 26.5 PRA. The last 5 has been a little bit shaky. He had just 10 PRA against Portland, just 13 against Chicago. But the good news is, in his previous games against San Antonio, bump this back down to 26.5, he's shown some pretty good upside here. He had 26 PRA against San Antonio on December 31st, so close but no cigar. But then on January 26th, 31 PRA. So he's averaging 28.5 points plus rebounds plus assists against San Antonio in 2 previous matchups. That's his average. Now we look at the matchup here against the Spurs. They rank 26th in points allowed, 25th in rebounds allowed. So a couple of great spots here. Points and rebounds for Jaren Jackson Jr. And then they're 14th in assists allowed. So we're seeing a lot of green and yellow, which is good for Jaren Jackson Jr.'s outlook today. So we're going to head on over to our DVP tool provided by Fantasy Pros. Totally free, guys. You can go find this yourselves. Go to Google, type in Fantasy Pros, FanDuel, NBA, DVP, and this should pop right up for you. Anyway, let's go find the Memphis Grizzlies here. See how many PRA they're giving up. I'm sorry, not the Memphis Grizzlies, the San Antonio Spurs. Let's go find the Spurs. They're giving up about 22 points per game to power forwards over the last 7, about 9 rebounds. So that's like 31 PRA and about 5 assists. So that's like 36 PRA. He needs 27 to get the job done. So I think he's in a pretty good spot against the Spurs. Spurs giving up, like I said, about 37 PRA. 35, 36, about 36 PRA in their last 7 games. I think that's right. Anyway, they're giving up plenty. Okay, so there's upside here for Jaren Jackson Jr. Let's go ahead and pull up his projection here using Action Labs. They've got him projected for 25.4 PRA, which is slightly less than what he needs to go over at 26.5. He needs 27 or more. But the betting public is liking his spot today. Minus 130 to go over 26.5 and minus 125 to go over 26.5. So listen, projections are not concrete. They are not rock solid. They are just, a prediction of what could happen, I guess you could say. So you could always cross-reference this projection of 25.4 PRA on some other sites, kind of see where other sites line up on Jaren Jackson Jr. But again, the public really liking the over on Triple J. Some other guys at a 70% hit rate. Nikola Vucevic, 31.5 PRA. Keldon Johnson, 24.5 PRA, 70% hit rate. Harrison Barnes, 26.5 PRA, 70% hit rate. Javonte Green, 14.5 PRA, a 70% hit rate. Is he up on the board? That is a guy we never talk about. Javonte Green. I don't know that we should be talking about him, but let's talk about him anyway. He's somebody different, a different face, a different name for us to discuss. Javonte Green, Chicago Bulls swingman. Let's type his name into props.cash and pull him up. Again, don't know if he's worth talking about. We're going to figure that out right now. We're going to see if he's worth talking about or not. The last 10 games, 70% hit rate for this kid. We look at the last 5. Not quite as good, 60% though. The last 2 games especially have been struggles for Javonte Green. 9 against Atlanta, 14 against Memphis. But his averages, 17.8 PRA in the last 10, 17.8 in his last 5. We look at the previous matchups against Miami, had just 9 PRA, but this was way back in November. He's taken on a much bigger role here lately with all the injuries to the Chicago Bulls. Looking at this matchup, Miami, a lot of red here. A lot of red. 5th in points allowed. 1st in rebounds allowed. 8th in assists allowed. And 9th in shooting guard defense. So it could be a very difficult matchup for Javonte Green. Let's take it a step further. We're going to look at the shooting guard and small forward positions and see how many points, rebounds, and assists they allow. This can also be applied to DeMar DeRozan, FYI. So if you're thinking about playing DeMar DeRozan's PRA, well, this will cover both Javonte Green and DeMar DeRozan's prospects of hitting the overs on their PRA. Now, Miami's given up about 21 points, about 6 assists, so that's like 27 already. And then we add in about another 5 assists to that, and you're looking at about 32 PRA allowed. 21 points, about 6 rebounds, and about 5 assists. All right, so that's for the shooting guard spot. So kind of difficult. Small forward, Miami's given up 23.7 points, about 8 rebounds. So that's like 31, 32 PRA. Put in 2 to 3 assists. And it could be a tough matchup for DeRozan tonight in terms of points, rebounds, and assists. Now let's pull up a projection for Javonte Green. Got him projected for 17.1. He's a betting favorite on DraftKings Sportsbook to go under 14.5, minus 120 odds. Out on BetMGM, even. Not really seeing any strong action on the over or the under. Shout out to ZTGG for subscribing to the channel. Thank you to Clumsy Pikachu for subscribing as well. Cody Peterson, thank you for subbing. Hey, CJ sub to the channel as well. And I almost forgot about my man King Chris. He left a super chat. He says the 4 for 5 curse has been lifted. Yeah, I was on a bad streak of going 4 out of 5 on my 5 picks on PrizePicks, gang. But last night I ended that. I finally hit a 5 out of 5. So yes, King Chris. Finally broke the bad 4 for 5 streak. I mean, listen, I don't know how many 5 picks I've played this year, but it's probably too many. 4 out of 5, man. Just could not get away from 4 out of 5. Could not find that 5th to get that 10x payout. I finally did last night. So shout out to me. Shout out to me. All right, so that's it for PRA. Let's get through some 3-point makes and take a quick look at some blocks and steals, and then we'll take some of your questions. For 3-point makes, there's not a lot that's standing out here. You can see the hit rates and who's up on the PrizePicks board. I kind of just use Props.Cash to kind of compare real quick who are the guys that are hitting their 3-pointers at a high clip, and it's not looking very good here, gang. Not looking very good here. I mean, your top 3-point make guys are Karl Anthony Towns, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Lauri Markkanen. None of those 3 guys are up on the board right now. So everybody that is up on the board is going to be a 50% hit rate type of guy over their last 10 games, or potentially worse. Not going to spend a lot of time talking about those guys. How about blocks and steals? Not a prop I play a whole lot of, but we could just quickly, again, look at the 5 guys that are up on the board, look at what we have here on Props.Cash and see if anybody really stands out. Not really. Your top hitters are Patrick Beverley, 70%. Harrison Barnes, 70%. Neither one of those are up on the board. Bam Adebayo's not up on the board. Grayson Allen, Dosunmu, Drew Holiday, Vucevic. None of these guys are up on the board. So again, you're getting into some props here on these 3-point makes and blocks and steals where it's kind of like a coin flip situation, where these guys over the last 10 games are hitting at like 50%. So those are the types of props that I avoid. So I'm not going to talk about them. All right. Now, if you guys have questions, this is the time for you to drop your favorite props, your picks, your plays. If you have something you want me to take a look at, let me know right now while I hydrate. I must hydrate. I must stay hydrated for you guys. Be specific too. You know, if there's a prop that you guys are really liking, make sure you hit the over or under. Mention the over or the under. Take a stand. Plant your flag. Desmond coming through with a super chat. Let's start with that. That's a good start. Tyrese Halliburton over 8.5 assists. He has covered his assist prop in 4 out of 6 and 4 out of his last 5. The defense versus position is average, so he's not saying that it's a great matchup by any means. Also, he is averaging 21 potential assists per game with a high game total. So potential assists would basically mean this: the amount of times that Tyrese Halliburton passes to a teammate, and that teammate takes a shot, and that shot has the potential of going in or not. So he's got a very high potential assist number. Now, if I remember correctly, a few games ago, he was right up there with Chris Paul when it comes to potential assists. Now, potential assists are a good metric to look at because if his teammates do their job and they knock some of these shots down, then his path to hitting the over on his assists is a little bit clearer, a little bit easier for him. Now we know Tyrese Halliburton is playing in Indiana. They ain't got a whole crop of guys that are very good over there in Indiana. So just because he's dropping some dimes, some potential dimes, we'll call them, he's got a cast of characters around him that aren't necessarily making shots and getting the job done. But, what we like is the opportunity, the potential, as Desmond has pointed out, potential assists. So thank you for leaving that super chat. Let's take a closer look at Tyrese Halliburton. He's going up against Orlando tonight. Now you see Halliburton here at 8.5 assists. And the hit rates, a little bit skewed because you got this game against Team Worthy, James Worthy, which is the Rising Stars game back on February 18th, part of the All-Star weekend festivities. So you could throw that one out. That one doesn't matter. So I'm going to use props.cash to pull them up, because props.cash does not include All-Star games in their game logs. So we go to assists. We get everything dialed in here. We're going to look at the last 10 games. He's at 8.5. You can see what he's been doing here in the last 10, 60% hit rate, but he's averaging 10.6 assists per game in the last 10. Things have gotten even better here in the last 5, averaging 11.6. Now, he does have a previous game against Orlando at 8.5. You can see he had 11 assists against Orlando. That was back on December 8th, which means that was when he was still with the Sacramento Kings. Now we look at the metrics here for the Orlando defense. They're giving up the 17th most assists allowed, which is about 25 assists per game allowed. Not an overly easy or overly difficult matchup for Tyrese Halliburton. Like Desmond said, kind of an average matchup here. It's not like Orlando is giving up an absurd amount of assists per game to opposing teams. But let's take it a step further. We'll go to the point guard position. We'll look at the last 7 games. Find the Orlando Magic. They're giving up about 8.7 dimes per game, which does put them close to the top. Closer to the top you are, the more assists you're allowing as a team to point guards in the last 7 games. So that's encouraging. You can see kind of where they fall in line. Definitely closer to the top than the bottom. So the matchup's not terrible, not the worst. And then we will pull up the assist category here using Action Labs. We'll type in Tyrese Halliburton's name. And you can see he's projected for 8.5 dimes, which is exactly his prop line today on PrizePicks of 8.5. And then he's at 8.5. We see him on one sports book, but the public is taking the over -120. So Desmond, I'm with you, man. Those potential assists are looking juicy. 21 potential assists per game. So if you take that number and you think about it this way, out of those 21 potential assists, he needs to convert, or his teammates need to help him convert on 9 out of 21. High game total, like Desmond said. So, I mean, there's definitely some upside, in other words, for Tyrese Halliburton. Now, Mac, you're saying Bobby Portis props. That can go a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different Bobby Portis props. So let's just do this. We'll go to the center position. He's facing off against the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte, against opposing centers, they're giving up 61.5 fantasy points per game. Now, the reason I'm referencing fantasy points is because it's a collection of points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals. All that stuff is baked into fantasy points. So yes, Bobby Portis against the Charlotte Hornets in a very good spot. Again, Charlotte giving up the 6th most fantasy points per game to opposing centers. More specifically, 25, nearly 26 points allowed, over 17 rebounds allowed, over 5 assists allowed. And they're giving up over 2.5 blocks. So I think Bobby Portis is in a good spot. A little bit worried with Serge Ibaka. Serge Ibaka might try to interfere with Bobby Portis. Just saying. Something to think about. King Chris 20. He's liking some Giannis Antetokounmpo. That is a guy that, despite his superstar status, we have not talked about. We have not talked any Giannis props. But you're liking his rebounds at 11.5. You're thinking about taking the over. Well, Giannis, the power forward, obviously, going up against Charlotte. Charlotte, in terms of rebounds allowed to opposing power forwards, they're giving up 9.1, which is less than his line of 11.5. Quite a bit less, actually. About 2.5 rebounds less. You can see where they rank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th fewest. It's not the easiest matchup in the world, but if anybody can overcome a difficult matchup, it's this guy, right? Giannis, the Greek freak, Antetokounmpo. Let's go pull up a projection for Giannis. Try to buzz through as many of your questions, your props as possible. I got him projected for 11.8. If we bump that up, just round it up to call it 12. 12 is what he needs today to get the job done. He's at 11.5 on 2 out of 3 sports books that I'm able to reference. He's a minus 140 betting favorite to go over at 11.5. They've got him as high as 12.5 over on a site like PointsBet, which means their lines makers must believe that 12 to 13 rebounds is an appropriate range or outcome for Giannis Antetokounmpo. But at 12.5, minus 145, a lot of juice or action coming in on the under. So if he goes over 11.5 but stays under 12.5, where's he at, gang? Pop quiz, 12 rebounds. So maybe he gets there. Maybe he does get the job done at 11.5. Matthew Vu. He's liking some Steven Adams over 3.5 assists. Let's go take a look at Steven Adams. We talked about his rebounds. They seem just a touch too high. I'd like him better at 11.5. He's at 12.5 though. But maybe we go with Steven Adams and his assists instead of his rebounds. Go all the way down to the bottom here. Steven Adams at 3.5 assists. The reason that Matthew is probably loving this is because when you open up his game logs, you look at his last 5, you see green, 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 green. Averaging 4.6 assists per game in the last 5 games. And he's 5 for 5, 100% hit rate. So let's quickly look at a DVP for Mr. Adams and just see how good San Antonio has done in terms of assists allowed to opposing centers. They're giving up about 4 per game, gang, which is coincidentally exactly what Steven Adams needs. He needs 4 assists to hit the over today. Now you can see where they rank, like right in the middle of the league. So not too tough, not too easy, right? 3.98 assists allowed. Let's get you a projection on Mr. Steven Adams here. Some of these bigs lately have been hitting their assist pops pretty well, by the way. Steven Adams being one of them. Anyway, 3.5 assists. We got 3 different books that have him posted at 3.5. 2 out of the 3 books, even money. Not seeing overs or unders. Action, non-existent. Now, PointsBet does have him going over at minus 125. So there are some people putting their real hard-earned money down on the over at 3.5 for Steven Adams there. So I think it's worth a shot. Like I said, the matchup's not too tough for Steven Adams. Doesn't look too difficult. Appreciate some of the new subscribers. The Renegade has just subscribed a few minutes ago. Appreciate you subbing to the channel. Thank you for your support. Al Jenkins with the sub. Thank you so much, Al, for subscribing. And New Win, I think that's how you say that. Thank you for subscribing as well. Appreciate all the new subscribers, gang. Michael Maresca is mentioning SGA. Gilgeous-Alexander over 27.5 points. We haven't really talked about him much today. Let's go take a look at his prop. He's going up against Sacramento. You can kind of see what SGA's been up to over the last 5 games. Pretty good scoring output. I mean, the only bad game he had was against Indiana. That was January 28th. But if you look at the last 5 games here, going all the way back to January 22nd, he had 29, had 31 against Chicago, 10 against Indiana. Then on the 24th and 25th, back-to-back games, he's posted scoring totals of 32 and 36. Now he gets to go against De'Aaron Fox and the Sacramento Kings. Not a team or a player or defense that I'm really too worried about. Let's go see how many points per game that Sacramento's been giving up to the point guard position over the last 7. Maybe we should be worried about it. They're giving up about 22 to 23 points, closer to 23 points per game. You can kind of see where they rank, where they fall in line. About middle of the pack, kind of an average matchup. And then we pull up the points category here using Action Labs. It will get you a projection on SGA. They have him projected for just 22.4 points. Oh man, 22.4 points versus 27.5. That seems way off. Listen. He's at 27.5 on PrizePicks. He is at 27.5 on DraftKings Sportsbook. He's also at 28.5 on FanDuel and even as high as 29.5 on PointsBet. Something ain't right here with SGA. That's all I'm saying. The projection of 22.4, I do not trust. Please cross-reference that. Please look up his projections on some different sites, different models. That just seems way off. 22.4. Lines makers are putting his line at 27.5, 28.5, and 29.5. Weird. Very weird. That is a weird projection. Seems like it should be higher. That's all I'm saying. N8P. Nate P. How about Nate P? We'll call you Nate P. PrizePicks ain't stupid. Well, most of the time puts the 50-50 picks on the 3 p.m. Okay. What else are you talking about, gang? Dang, man. You guys are blowing up the freaking chat. I got a lot to catch up on, it looks like. Halliburton. King United is talking about some Tyrese Halliburton over first half fantasy points. Memory serves me correctly, Tyrese Halliburton over first half fantasy points has been pretty good. It was even better when he was down at like 18.5, but he's up to 20 now. 20 might be a little bit more difficult. Let's just go look at the DVP real quick. We go to point guards and we go down to FD points, which stands for FanDuel or fantasy points. FanDuel, PrizePicks, they use the same scoring, by the way, in case you didn't know. So if you ever find any FanDuel projections, you can use those FanDuel projections to help you with your PrizePicks fantasy points research. But he's looking at Tyrese Halliburton for first half fantasy points. Now, Orlando is giving up over 50 fantasy points per game to opposing point guards, so you can kind of see where they rank. 7th most in the last 7 games. So the combination of Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs has not really slowed down opposing point guards much. Now, I do have, thank you to Fantasy Labs, I do have some premium projections provided by Fantasy Labs. So if I type in Tyrese Halliburton's name, his projected fantasy points today are 38.4, which is actually under. Because he should be projected for 40 full game points. So you figure 40 full game fantasy points. He's at 20 first half fantasy points. But if we compare just the full game fantasy points of 40 to the 38, call it 38.5, he's actually an under according to the Fantasy Labs model. So they do not like Tyrese Halliburton today. Another thing that I like to look at too is the rating. And Tyrese Halliburton's rating is 56.6 out of 100. 100 being the best rating you can get. So he is not rated well either today, for whatever reason. But the matchup is good. The matchup is good. I don't know that I'll go there personally. I think 20, like I said, is just getting a little bit too high for me to love Tyrese Halliburton first half fantasy points. You can see he's got some games where he's come close, but has not gone over. 19.6 against Washington, 17.3. That was against Team Worthy, 16.4 against OKC. So 20 is a little too rich for me, King United. Mitchell Delp is liking some Sabonis PRA. All right, let's try to buzz through these. I want to get to as many as I can. We're about an hour and 30 already in. Sheesh, I've been flapping my gums a lot this morning. 39.5 PRA for Sabonis. He's been playing the center position, going up against his former team, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Listen, guys, they're giving up a ton of fantasy points per game to opposing centers. Fantasy points, obviously, very similar to PRA, except, they include blocks and steals and turnovers. But you can see OKC's given up 27.2 points, almost 20 rebounds. That's already 47 PRA and like 3 assists. It's like 50 PRA or more to opposing centers. So to say Sabonis is in a good spot might be an understatement. Sabonis is in a really good spot. And I don't know if he gets extra motivated to go against the Oklahoma City Thunder, again, the team that he played for to start his career. I don't know if he's, one of those narrative type of guys like, oh, I got a big old chip on my shoulder. I'm going to play strong today. I don't know if he does that or not. Anyway, he's at 39.5 PRA. The public betting the under at 39.5. His projection on Action Labs, 38.4, slightly less than the 39.5. Try to find some names, some props that some people that we have not talked a whole lot about. Christy Thornton is mentioning both Karl Anthony Towns over 21.5 points and Bam Adebayo over 42. Is that 42 fantasy points? Um, 42. Not, yeah, 40, maybe the 42.5 fantasy points you're talking about. Going up against Nikola Vucevic and the Chicago Bulls, maybe, could be a good look. Let's go see. Chicago's given up over 57, nearly 58 fantasy points per game to opposing centers. So kind of see where that ranks, guys. That's just outside the top 10, but still a really strong matchup here for Bam Adebayo. Let's pull up a projection for Bam. Got him projected for 40.7 full game fantasy points. His rating, just 55.4. So they're not very big or very high on Bam Adebayo today. Take that for what you will. Look up some fantasy points projections for Bam. You can use NumberFire, RotoWire. They have some free FanDuel projections for NBA, but you can kind of cross-reference there. But they're not real big on it. Mike from the Fours mentioning my favorite Orlando Magic player at the moment, Wendell Carter Jr. for first half fantasy points. Wendell Carter Jr. is always on my radar. Anytime my boy takes the court, you better believe I'm looking his way. Let's see who they play, how they match up, and all that stuff. So 18 first half fantasy points going up against Indiana. We know Indiana's front court not very good. They've made some additions with Tristan Thompson, but are we really worried about Tristan Thompson? Not really. They're giving up about 55 fantasy points per game. You can kind of see where they rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th fewest actually over the last 7 games. So it's kind of surprising. Their interior defense must have stepped up. Where they are weakest against centers is in the rebound metric. 17.5 rebounds allowed per game. So you can see where they rank in terms of rebounds. 7th most rebounds allowed. Now I also like looking at the power forward spot because Wendell Carter Jr. is kind of more of the power forward, Bamba the center. Even though Bamba more of a stretch center, I guess you could say. But I think of Wendell Carter Jr. as more of your traditional hard nose, lives in the paint type of center. But anyway, Indiana giving up about 48 fantasy points per game to opposing power forwards. 7th most. And they're giving up over 27.5 points to opposing power forwards in the last 7 games. So, I think Wendell Carter Jr. is probably in a really good spot. So if his first half only fantasy points are at 18, that means his full game fantasy points should be at about 36. And I have him projected for 35.8. So I think PrizePicks is a pretty sharp number up on the board at 36 fantasy points. Now his rating is 81.6 out of 100 possible points. So he is pretty highly rated at 81.6. So yep, Sabonis PRA, we definitely talked about that. Halliburton at 8.5. Those potential assists for Halliburton, very, very high at 21. He just needs his teammates to knock down the shots. Krishan Johnson says DeRozan over points, rebounds, and assists. Could be a good look, man. It's like I said, it's like Floyd Mayweather, right? Or John Jones of the MMA world, UFC. You just expect those guys, Tyson Fury, we'll put him out there too. You just expect those guys to go out and keep winning. And eventually they might end up losing. It's possible. But you're like pretty much just auto-clicking the over on DeRozan on almost every prop today until he lets you down. And eventually he will. All good things must come to an end. So eventually he will let you down. But yeah, I think you just keep clicking the over, man. Appreciate a couple of the new subs that just dropped in. Day 2K Gaming, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for subscribing. Smil Goris, I hope I said that right. Thank you for subscribing as well. Continuing to build out the channel, build out the community. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Clumsy Pikachu is mentioning some Andre Drummond over 10.5 points. We have not talked any Andre Drummond. That one could be potentially interesting. Let's go see what's up with it. Probably hang on here for about another, 5 or 10 minutes. Try to get to as many of your props as possible in the next 5 or 10 minutes. So Drummond's at 10.5 points. He's going up against the Toronto Raptors. Let's go take a look at this matchup real quick. So we'll go to the center spot, go to the points column. Toronto is giving up over 25 points per game to opposing centers. So that's actually a pretty good matchup in the last 7 games for Drummond. Of course, Drummond's going to have a pretty significant size advantage over anybody that they start at center. Siakam, Khem Birch, whoever it is that they end up starting. Drummond, he's a big boy. All right. He's going to have the size advantage over the Toronto guys. Matchup looks good. He's actually got a pretty decent hit rate. Doesn't score a lot of points, but 11, 11, 11, 17 in the games that he has hit over the last 5. So you might sweat it out a little bit. It's not going to be one of those ones, more than likely won't be one of those ones where he smashes it and makes it a sweat-free prop. But I've got him at 10.5 points on DraftKings Sportsbook. The public taking the under. He is projected for 9.5 going up against the Raptors. So scroll through here. Let's just see if there's any names that we haven't talked about. Looking for some of those unique props. Busy time. We talked a little bit about Jaren Jackson Jr. for PRA. You seem to be liking the rebounds the most out of the PRA. Kid Neptune says, doesn't know about Sabonis PRA. He's got some doubts. Got some doubts about Sabonis PRA. All right. Isaac M wants to know who's getting all of OG Anunoby's minutes since he's out tonight. Well, I could tell you one thing that with OG Anunoby out, Scotty Barnes' fantasy points have been pretty good. He's hit his fantasy score of like 30 at a pretty high clip without OG Anunoby. I don't know what his fantasy points are at tonight. Is he even up on the board? Doesn't even look like they have the Raptors up on the board. They might be waiting for the Fred VanVleet news. He's also a game time decision. So that's one, though, to answer your question. Who gets the minutes and usage? Could be Scotty Barnes, man. He might be a good look. But we're waiting on the Fred VanVleet news, I think. Yeah, Maz, we talked some Steven Adams over assists. The matchup doesn't look too difficult. Could be an option. Pick 3 lovers. Bam Adebayo is at 34.5 PRA for me. Should I take it? I think Bam's in a pretty good spot going up against Chicago today. Not mad at that one. Parker Douglas dropping all kind of picks. All kind of picks. Let me know if any stand out. Cole Anthony over 31 fantasy points. Anthony Edwards over 30 fantasy points. SGA over 27.5. That's probably the one that I would say stands out the most, just because we had a weird projection. I don't know if you saw it earlier, but SGA's projected points were at like 22.5. But he was at 27.5, 28.5, and 29.5 on 3 different sports books. So the fact that he was at 28.5 and 29.5 on a couple of different books leads me to believe that maybe at 27.5, there's some value there. Goat. We did talk about some DeJounte Murray assist. I mean, I think he's always in play. DeJounte Murray's assist should always be worth a look. I know it looked like a difficult matchup, but we did see him get it done against Ja Morant and the Grizzlies in a previous matchup, which was not that long ago. So, Cody, you are asking if we could look at Halliburton's PRA at 29.5. You said, can we look it up? I could look up a projection for you if I think that's what you're asking. I've got Tyrese Halliburton projected for 29 PRA. He is at 29.5 today. The public is taking the over on Tyrese Halliburton. Isaac M is mentioning Gary Trent Jr. points over with OG out and Fred VanVleet questionable. Listen, for sure. I don't know what Gary Trent Jr.'s line is going to be at, but yeah, I mean, if you wanted to, you're gambling at this point. Fair warning. Viewer discretion is advised. If you were to want to go ahead and preemptively lock in some Gary Trent props, it's a risk. It's a gamble because we don't know if Fred VanVleet's going to be in or out yet. But if you wanted to, if you're trying to telegraph Fred VanVleet being out potentially, and you wanted to get in early on Gary Trent Jr., then yes, I think that Gary Trent Jr. is going to be very popular. Points, probably the PRA as well. We do not have fantasy projections up for Gary Trent Jr., but yes. In fact, one thing that you could use props.cash for. Let's see if we get any lines. Let me refresh. Let's refresh. But one thing you could use props.cash for is for removing players from the Raptors. So you go to this games without section. Right now it's set to all available. But what you can do is click on OG Anunoby. And now you have games without OG Anunoby from this season. And then we would also go and remove Fred VanVleet. All right. And we could look at the season view. There's only been one game, apparently, where Gary Trent Jr. has played without OG Anunoby and Fred VanVleet. And in that game, he scored 19 points, 1 rebound, 7 assists. His PRA was 27. So his PRA right now is at 25.5. Three-point field goals made. He made 4 threes. This was against Philadelphia, by the way. So that kind of gives you an idea. That's another way that you can use Props.Cash. Guys, if you're not using Props.Cash yet and you want to try it out, I can get you 25% off of your first month. There's a link down in the description of today's video. You use promo code Curry when you sign up, and you'll save 25% off your first month. But very cool way to see what happens or what has happened this season when Gary Trent Jr. plays and OG Anunoby and Fred VanVleet are out. It's only happened one time. There's only been one game, and it was against Philadelphia back on December 28th. But it looks like out of all the ways to play Gary Trent Jr., maybe his 3-point field goals made or his PRA could be potentially the best ways to go based on where his lines are set right now. Now, if Fred VanVleet is ruled out, you could probably expect a lot of these props for Gary Trent Jr. to go up. They will probably go up quite a bit. Let's see. Yeah, we talked Sabonis PRA. Matt Polson says De'Aaron Fox over 5.5 assists. Where's he at? Is he not up on the board? Oh, there he is. He was hiding. He was hiding in plain sight. My bad. Yeah, De'Aaron Fox, 5.5 assists. He's only went over in 2 out of 5 games. 2 out of 5 games. Let's go to the point guard matchup. Go over to the assist column. Yeah, OKC's given up 10.5 assists per game to point guards in the last 7. So that is the third most. So we talked about Fox and points earlier. If you don't like his points, maybe you take his assists. He needs 6 assists. OKC's given up 10.5. So that actually does look pretty good. Pull up a projection for you. Got him projected for 6 dimes. Betting public at 5.5. Minus 150, minus 135. Betting favorite to go over at 5.5. And then at 6.5 assists, the public taking the under at 6.5 at minus 150. But yeah, I think Fox assists could be very good. Very, very good. Percy says, hey, CJ, what do you think about Steven Adams' PRA? Well, we talked about Adams' PR. Oh, no, wait, back it up. We talked about Adams for assists. And we talked about his rebounds. I think his rebounds at 12.5 are kind of a bit high. Not that he can't get it done. He's just going to have to have a really good game. Now, Busy Time is saying that Adams' rebounds is a lock. So he believes in Steven Adams at 12.5 boards. I just don't know, man. That seems a little steep. Seems a little steep for me. Going up against Jakob Poeltl. But as far as the PRA for Adams, we have not discussed that. Let's go take a look. Let's go look. So Adams' PRA is 24.5. You can see he's hit this in 3 out of 5. So 60% while averaging 27 PRA. One thing that we could do, which we have not done yet, you can go to StatMuse and you could go Steven Adams points plus rebounds plus assists versus Poeltl logs. And then you could kind of get an idea how he's done against Jakob Poeltl over the course of his career. Recently, as a member of the Memphis Grizzlies, he covered PRA in one game, which was back on December 31st. But he went way under PRA as recently as January 26th against San Antonio and Jakob Poeltl. Overall, last 5 games, though, at 24.5 PRA, he has only gone over 24.5 PRA once against Poeltl. Now that goes and looks at 3 games as a New Orleans Pelican and 2 games as a Memphis Grizzly. So not the greatest hit rates in head-to-head matchups against Poeltl over the last 5. So I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical on some Steven Adams tonight. 22.9. Let's just round it up. Call it 23 PRA. The public, one site, slight betting favorite to go under 24.5 PRA. So, yeah, don't know if that's going to be my jam. I might have to stay off that. A lot of love for Sabonis tonight. I'm seeing Sabonis. Lots of Sabonis. Aaron Rodgers is mentioning that O'Shea Brissett, has been eating for Indiana. Zach Gill mentioning some Jakob Poeltl over 2.5 assists. Poeltl's been very good, guys. He's been very good lately. You could go for his assist prop at 2.5. You can see the hit rates here. 4 for 5, 80% hit rate. The matchup against Memphis. Memphis has given up about 4.1 assists per game to opposing centers. Poeltl needs just 3 to get the job done. So there's definitely some upside for Poeltl. We go to the assists for Poeltl. Got him projected for 2.9, so close to 3 assists. Public not betting this over or under at the moment, though. No juice, no action either way. All right, gang. Let's go. Golly, an hour and 50 minutes. Time is flying today. Sheesh. Time is flying today. Let's take 3 more. I'm going to take 3 more. 3 more, and then we'll call it quits. We'll wrap this sucker up. Yeah, big op. We've talked about Adams' assists. It's not the, not the worst thing. Sean, I didn't take it the wrong way, man. Listen, I don't. Let me explain how these live streams work, Sean. Okay, we'll take a moment and talk to Sean for a second. This is a first look live stream. There are not any picks given away. I'm not a tout. I'm not saying take this one, take that one, go over here, go under here. We're just looking at the numbers. We're looking at the matchups. And then I let you decide what you want to do with your money. I'm not telling you what to pick, what to play. So when you said, I might join your Patreon depending on your picks today. Listen, I'm not giving away any picks. I'm looking at numbers. I'm looking at, just stats and info and matchups and stuff. This is a first look, initial research type of stream. This isn't like some of those other content creators out there that says, here are my top 5 PrizePicks plays of the day. That's not what I do. I don't want to do that. What I want to do is educate, man, and inform and help you guys with your player prop research. That's what I want to do. Now, what you want to do with your money, your player props, who you want to take over and under, and how you want to build your entries, that's all on you. So that's the way we do things. So if you want to join Patreon, listen. Trust me when I say I am good. Whether you do or don't, I am good. Your boy right here, I am winning, whether you join Patreon or not. I promise, on my mama, I will be fine. Whatever you decide to do is on you. I am fine. Okay? My feelings will not be hurt, either which way. Taco Tuesday tomorrow. Shout out Taco Tuesday. Taco Tuesday coming back. Coming back soon. Yeah, so Dean's burner account, you're liking the over on De'Aaron Fox at 5.5 assists. Big ups. Yeah, I think Fox is in a good spot. Curry over on points. That's it's got to be what? Seth Curry, right? I don't think Steph is playing tonight. Where the heck is this guy? Oh, there he is. Man, they gotta get my boy Seth Curry in a Brooklyn jersey. Gotta get him in a Brooklyn jersey, man. No, I have not heard about Fox and his NFT scandal. I gotta look at that. Is he one of those guys like Soulja Boy and Lil Yachty and some of those other guys that were getting paid to pump up some NFTs just to pump it up and then sell and make money off of it? Like some of these other celebrities and stuff. Well, Sean, I respect you as well. It's all love. All right, I'll look at Jimmy Butler over 6 assists. My bad, bro. I'll look at it. Seth Curry over on points, 16 and a half points. He's covered this in 4 out of 5 games. He's averaging 19.2 over the last 5. So yeah, I mean, Seth Curry's looking pretty nice. The only question I have is Brooklyn adding Goran Dragic to the mix. Not sure how that's going to mix things up. I would expect Dragic's going to come in and kind of be more of a pass first point guard, more of a setup facilitator type of role. I don't see him getting a lot of buckets. Number Fire had Dragic projected to start at point guard, so maybe Patty Mills goes to the bench. I think that could only help Seth Curry, getting Patty Mills out of there, coming off the bench. But yeah, if Dragic ends up starting at point guard tonight, then I think Seth Curry will, again, have the green light and get all the shots and opportunities. We know KD's out, Kyrie's out, Ben Simmons is out indefinitely, apparently. So yeah, I think Seth Curry could be in a really nice spot. Let's go look at the matchup. Curry will probably project to be the shooting guard. He's going up against Toronto tonight. Toronto is giving up over 24 points per game. Now, we already know OG Anunoby's out. If Fred VanVleet's out, I think the matchup just gets even better for Seth Curry. Right now, I'd probably project him to go up head-to-head against Gary Trent. So, yeah, Seth Curry, 16 and a half points. I think he's in a nice little spot here. Let's just get you a projection. Projected for 16.3. His line is 16.5. We've got him on 4 different sites, 4 different books. Nobody's betting the over or the under so far on this Seth Curry prop, though. So, interesting. And then finally, this will be the last one. I'll do this for Sean. Sean wants to know about some Jimmy buckets at 6 assists. Let's look at it real quick. We already talked about Kyle Lowry is going to be out. Therefore, maybe that helps Jimmy Butler. What you can do here, like I showed you with props.cash, you click Jimmy Butler's name, you go to the assist category, then you go ahead and you remove Kyle Lowry, and then you can kind of take a look and see how Jimmy Butler's assists look. Now we move his line down to 6. Let me refresh because maybe the lines have changed. They do tend to do that sometimes. I just want to make sure we got the latest lines up here on PrizePicks. All right. So yeah, he's at 6 assists on PrizePicks right now. Why do his game logs look so different though? Oh, okay, because I got the Kyle Lowry without Kyle Lowry. All right, I'm with it. All right, I got it together now, guys. So in 11 games without Kyle Lowry this season at 6 assists, Jimmy Butler has covered this in 73% of his games. So he's gone for 6 or more assists in 8 out of 11. He's averaging 8.7, 8.8, and 9.6, respectively. So, yeah, I mean, without Kyle Lowry in the lineup, it looks like the assists do go up for Jimmy Butler. So, I mean, hopefully that helps you out. Let's pull up a projection for Butler. His line is at 7.5 assists right now. He is at 6 on PrizePicks. Don't know why his line is so light on PrizePicks right now, but I would probably say take advantage of this, being that he's at 7.5 assists out on 3 different sports books. Now at 7.5, the public smashing the under, which is fine, but I don't know that his line should be at 6. So there you go, Sean. I think you might have uncovered a gem. Thank you for waiting, being patient. But Jimmy Butler at 6 assists, he's at 7.5 everywhere else. I would probably say take the over on Jimmy Butler. You could see how he's done without Kyle Lowry this season. Again, 8 out of 11. 73% hit rate. That's it, man. I'm getting out of here. I did not expect to be on here for 2 hours. 2 hours. Can't do that. It's got to be an hour and a half going forward. Anyways, appreciate you so much, man. Thank you for subscribing. Roberto Guillen, thank you for being here. Kyle says, new to the channel, awesome. Care to mention the websites you are using for research? Sure, I can do that for you real quick before I head out. Fantasy Labs for fantasy player prop projections. Props.cash if you want 25% off your first month of Props.cash. Link down in the description below. Use promo code Curry to take advantage of that offer. Fantasy Pros, this is their DVP, free DVP chart. Shows you the last 7 games, last 15 games, last 30 games, season average, how many points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, 3-point makes that a defense is giving up to a particular position over those different spans. We're using Fantasy Labs, which is powered by Action Labs. This is their player prop projection tool. Premium paid site. Got to go pay for that. It's not free. StatMuse, totally free site for you to look up some different NBA information. And our game breakdowns here on NumberFire. So those are all the sites that we've referenced in today's video. And of course, this player prop site here is PrizePicks. Promo code Curry, 100% instant deposit match. Your first deposit up to $100. All right. That is it for me. Hit the like button on your way out, just like my man Magic says. And I'm going to get up out of here. Until tomorrow, we will see you then. Good luck tonight on all your entries, gang. Peace and love.